If you clicked on this video, it's because somewhere inside you, there's a question about love that you haven't been able to answer. Something about partnership, about marriage, about why relationships have unfolded the way they have in your life, and the word that probably stopped your scroll was hiding. Because yes, something has been hiding from you, and you felt it. I know something about you. You've been in relationships that looked right, that seemed like they should work. Maybe everyone around you thought it was perfect, but something was missing. Something you couldn't name. You felt it in your body. That tightness in your chest when you looked at them and thought, I should be happier than this. That knot in your stomach on Sunday nights when you realized you were dreading another week of going through the motions. Your body knew before your mind did. It always does. And you've wondered, late at night, in the quiet moments, if maybe the problem is you. If maybe you're too picky. If maybe the thing you're looking for doesn't actually exist. It does exist. And the reason you haven't found it isn't because you're broken or because you want too much. It's because your seventh house has been holding information about what you actually need in partnership. Information your conscious mind has never fully accessed. Until now. There's a reason this video found you tonight. Not yesterday, not next week, tonight. Whatever's been stirring in you about love, about commitment, about whether you'll ever find the person who truly fits your soul, is ready to understand something it's been circling around for years. What I'm about to share with you is the hidden architecture of your relationship self. The part of your birth chart that reveals who you unconsciously seek, what you desperately need but might not know how to ask for, and why certain people feel like home, while others, no matter how good they look on paper, never quite land. This is what your seventh house has been hiding, and it's time you knew. I want to describe something to you, and I want you to tell me if it sounds familiar. You've been in a relationship, maybe more than one, where you did everything right. You communicated, you compromised, you showed up, you tried, and somehow it still didn't work. Or worse, it stayed together but felt hollow, like you were playing a role in someone else's story instead of living your own. It hits you at the strangest moments. 2 in the morning when you can't sleep. Tuesday afternoon in the middle of a meeting when suddenly you're thinking about your ex for no reason. The drive home from work when you finally have silence and the questions come flooding in. Sunday mornings when everyone else is posting their couple photos and you're wondering why your love life looks nothing like that. There's this specific feeling I want to name. You're with someone. Maybe you've been with them for months, maybe years, and they're good. They're genuinely good, kind, present, trying. But when you're lying next to them at night, there's this quiet voice in you that whispers something's missing, and you can't name what it is. You just know that some part of you isn't being reached. Some part of you is still waiting. And that's confusing, because how can you want more when what you have is already good? What kind of person feels lonely inside a loving relationship? I'll tell you what kind. The kind whose seventh house needs something specific. Something their partner, no matter how wonderful, simply doesn't have. I know what you do when no one's watching. You've pulled up the birth charts of your exes, trying to understand, trying to see if the stars could explain what went wrong. You might have a note in your phone somewhere, maybe titled "What I'm Looking For," where you've tried to articulate what you need, and the list keeps changing, because you've never been able to capture it in words. What you're looking for isn't a list of traits, it's a frequency, a feeling, something your conscious mind couldn't name. Here's what else I know about you. You've watched friends get engaged, get married, build the life you thought you'd have by now, and you're happy for them, you genuinely are. But sometimes, late at night, you wonder why it seems to come so easily for everyone else. Why you're the one still trying to figure it out. Why love feels like a language everyone else speaks fluently while you're still searching for the words. You've been told you're too picky, or that your standards are too high, or that you need to stop looking and let it happen. and you've wondered if they're right. If maybe you're the one standing in your own way. If maybe you should just settle for good enough. But something in you won't let you. Something in you keeps saying no. And you've wondered if that something is wisdom or self-sabotage. If it's your intuition protecting you or your fear keeping you stuck. I need you to hear this. That voice, the one that keeps saying this isn't quite right, that's not self-sabotage. That's your seventh house. That's your soul recognizing that what's in front of you doesn't match what's in the portrait. And you couldn't know what was in the portrait, not until now, because it was hidden. Let me explain what I mean. Imagine your psyche is a house. You've lived in this house your entire life. You know the rooms, your desires, your fears, your gifts, your wounds. You've explored most of it, decorated it, made it yours. But there's one door you've walked past 1,000 times without ever being able to open. It's not that it's forbidden. It's not that you're not allowed. You just never had the key. That door leads to your seventh house. And behind it, hanging on the wall, waiting for you, is a portrait. A portrait your soul painted before you took your first breath. A portrait of who you need. Not who you think you want. Not who looks good on paper. Not who your parents would approve of or who makes sense logically. Who you actually need, at the soul level, to feel whole. You've been searching for this person your whole life without ever seeing the painting. Here's the first hidden truth. The qualities you're most attracted to in others are the qualities you haven't fully developed in yourself. That's not weakness, that's design. Your soul hid them in your unconscious, so you'd have to find them in another person first and then, through loving them, learn to access them in yourself. In astrology, your seventh house sits directly opposite your rising sign. The sign that was ascending, rising above the horizon when you were born, gave you your rising sign. And the sign that was descending, sinking below the horizon at that same moment became your seventh house cusp. It's called the descendant because it descends into the unconscious. It goes where you can't easily see it. The qualities of that sign, they become your blind spot. The things you can't fully access in yourself, the things you can only see when they're reflected back to you in another person. This is why we're attracted to what we're attracted to. This is why certain people feel magnetic, even when we can't explain why. Your soul recognizes the portrait. Your conscious mind just hasn't seen it yet. And here's what makes this so important for marriage. Before you get married, before you say those words that bind your life to another person, you need to know what your seventh house is asking for. When you commit to someone, really commit, for life you need them to speak the language of your seventh house. You need them to have access to the qualities your soul is searching for. Otherwise, no matter how much you love them, some part of you will always feel unreached. Some part of you will always be waiting. Here's the second hidden truth. The relationships that hurt most weren't failures. They were the closest matches to your portrait that you'd found up to that point. They hurt because they were almost right. Almost isn't a waste, it's information. Every relationship you've ever been in, you were trying to find the person in the portrait, but you'd never seen it clearly. You'd only caught glimpses, like pressing your eye to the keyhole of that locked door and seeing fragments. A color, a shape, a feeling. That's why some relationships felt almost right. They matched one brushstroke of the portrait. Maybe they had the passion your soul painted, but not the depth. Maybe they had the stability, but not the fire. They matched a piece, and that piece felt so good you thought maybe you could live with the rest being wrong. But you couldn't, because your soul knows what it painted, and it won't let you settle for a sketch when it made you for a masterpiece. Here's what I need you to understand. You've always had the key. It's been in your birth chart since the moment you were born. The sign on your seventh house cusped the sign that was setting when you took your first breath. That sign is the key. If you know your rising sign, you already know your seventh house. It's the sign directly opposite. If you don't know your rising sign, you'll need your birth time, and there are free calculators online that will show you in seconds. Now, stay with me, because this is where we open the door. I'm going to walk through each sign that can appear on the seventh house, cusp each version of the portrait that might be waiting for you. Listen for your rising sign, because the opposite sign is what your soul painted. If you're an Aries rising, your seventh house is in Libra. What your soul painted is partnership itself. Harmony, someone who balances your fire with grace. You've spent your life leading, charging forward, doing things on your own. And part of you is proud of that independence, but there's another part, a quieter part, that's exhausted from always being the one who has to be strong. You need a partner who brings peace to your intensity. Not someone who competes with you, but someone who complements you. You've been attracted to people who are diplomatic, charming, aesthetically aware, people who make everything feel more beautiful just by being in the room. What you're really searching for is someone who makes you feel like a team instead of a solo act. Someone who reminds you that you don't have to fight every battle alone. Your hidden need is to learn that softness isn't weakness. If you're a Taurus rising, your seventh house is in Scorpio. Your soul painted depth, intensity, someone who isn't afraid to go into the darkness with you. You've been in relationships where everything looked perfect on the surface, stable, comfortable, secure, and yet you felt strangely bored, restless, like you were performing contentment instead of feeling it. That's because surface-level love will never satisfy you. Your soul needs emotional truth, even when it's messy. Especially when it's messy. You've been attracted to people who are magnetic, mysterious, sometimes even a little dangerous. People others warned you about. And part of you wondered if something was wrong with you for being drawn to intensity. Nothing is wrong with you. What you're really searching for is someone who sees every part of you, the jealousy, the possessiveness, the depth you hide, and stays anyway. Your hidden need is complete emotional honesty. A partner who can match your capacity for all or nothing love. If you're a Gemini rising, your seventh house is in Sagittarius. What your soul painted is expansion, adventure, someone who makes life feel like a journey, not a routine. You've been in relationships where the conversation started repeating itself, where you felt your world getting smaller instead of bigger, and something in you started to suffocate. You need a partner who opens doors to new ideas, new places, new possibilities. Someone who makes you laugh. Someone who challenges what you think you know. You've been attracted to people who are free-spirited, philosophical, optimistic. The ones who seem to have a bigger perspective on life. What you're really searching for is someone who grows with you instead of holding you back. Someone who says, yes, let's go, when you suggest something spontaneous. Your hidden need is a love that feels like freedom, not a cage. If you're a Cancer rising, your seventh house is in Capricorn. Your soul-painted structure, security. Someone who makes you feel safe, not through words, but through action. You feel things deeply, sometimes too deeply, and you need a partner who can be a rock when your emotions feel like an ocean. You've been attracted to people who are ambitious, mature, responsible. The ones who seem to have their life together. The ones who show up when they say they will. What you're really searching for is someone you can trust to build a life with. Someone whose love is proven through consistency, not grand gestures. Your hidden need is security that doesn't waver. A partner who lets you be soft because they're strong enough for both of you. If you're a Leo rising, your seventh house is in Aquarius. What your soul painted is uniqueness, someone who doesn't just admire you, but challenges you to think differently. You've been in relationships where you were adored, and it felt good for a while. But eventually you realized they were in love with an image of you, a performance, not the real you. You need a partner who is their own person, independent, innovative, a little unconventional. Someone who loves your light but isn't blinded by it. You've been attracted to people who think differently, who question the status quo, who don't follow the crowd. What you're really searching for is someone who loves you for your authentic self, not your performance. Someone who sees behind the confidence to the human underneath. Your hidden need is to be valued as an individual, not just adored as a star. If you're a Virgo rising, your seventh house is in Pisces. Your soul-painted surrender, someone who helps you release control and trust the flow. You've spent your life trying to get things right. Perfect, organized, and it's exhausting. You need a partner who brings softness to your precision, creativity, spirituality, emotional depth. Someone who reminds you that not everything needs to be fixed. You've been attracted to people who are artistic, intuitive, dreamers. The ones who seem to live in a world you can't quite access with your logical mind. And part of you judges them even as you're drawn to them. What you're really searching for is someone who reminds you that love doesn't have to be perfect to be real. Your hidden need is permission to stop fixing everything. A partner who teaches you that sometimes falling apart is how you come back together. If you're a Libra rising, your seventh house is in Aries. What your soul painted is fire, passion, someone who moves you out of indecision into action. You've spent your life trying to keep the peace, see all sides, avoid conflict, and part of you has lost touch with what you actually want. You need a partner who isn't afraid of disagreement, who brings directness, courage, maybe even a little friction. You've been attracted to people who are bold, assertive, who know exactly what they want and go after it. The ones who seem so certain while you're weighing every option. What you're really searching for is someone who makes you feel alive, not just comfortable. Someone who pulls you out of your head and into your body. Your hidden need is to find yourself through the spark of another. A partner who shows you that passion isn't dangerous, it's necessary. If you're a Scorpio rising, your seventh house is in Taurus. Your soul-painted stability. Someone who grounds your intensity with steadiness. You feel everything at full volume, the love, the pain, the fear, the desire. And you need a partner who isn't scared away by your depth. Someone who offers consistency, sensuality, presence. You've been attracted to people who are calm, reliable, earthy, the ones who seem unshakable when you're falling apart. What you're really searching for is someone who makes you feel safe enough to soften, safe enough to let go of control, safe enough to stop protecting yourself. Your hidden need is peace. A partner whose love is a place you can rest instead of another storm to survive. If you're a Sagittarius rising, your seventh house is in Gemini. What your soul painted is curiosity, someone who keeps your mind engaged forever. You need constant stimulation, new ideas, new conversations, new perspectives. A partner who is just as curious about life as you are. You've been attracted to people who are witty, versatile, quick. The ones who can talk about anything and make it interesting, who challenge you intellectually and make you laugh in the same breath. What you're really searching for is a best friend you can also build a life with. Someone who never bores you. Your hidden need is mental connection as deep as emotional connection. A partner who makes you feel understood in your ideas, not just your feelings. If you're a Capricorn rising, your seventh house is in Cancer. Your soul painted nurturing, someone who cares for you in the ways you've never let yourself be cared for. You've built walls. You've learned to rely on yourself. You've told yourself you don't need anyone. But underneath that armor is someone who desperately wants to be held. You've been attracted to people who are warm, intuitive, family-oriented, the ones who seem to feel things you've taught yourself not to feel. What you're really searching for is someone who makes you feel safe enough to need them. Someone who sees past your walls to the softness you protect. Your hidden need is to be taken care of. A partner who reminds you that letting someone in isn't weakness, it's the whole point. If you're an Aquarius rising, your seventh house is in Leo. What your soul painted is warmth. Someone who makes you feel special, adored, like the only person in the room. You've spent your life being different, thinking different, standing apart, and part of you is proud of that. But another part is lonely. You need a partner who is generous with affection, expressive, romantic, celebratory of love. Someone who isn't afraid to be dramatic about how much they care about you. You've been attracted to people who are confident, creative, big-hearted. The ones who light up a room. What you're really searching for is someone who loves loudly in a world where you've learned to hide. Your hidden need is to be chosen, fully, openly, without apology. If you're a Pisces rising, your seventh house is in Virgo, your soul-painted devotion, someone who shows love through acts of service, through attention to detail, through showing up in practical ways. You live in a world of feelings, dreams, intuitions, and sometimes you get lost there. You need a partner who grounds your dreams without dismissing them. Someone thoughtful, helpful, steady. You've been attracted to people who are intelligent, humble, caring in quiet ways. The ones who remember the small things, who notice what you need before you ask. What you're really searching for is someone who brings order to your beautiful chaos. Your hidden need is to be taken care of in the everyday moments. A partner who makes the practical feel like poetry. Take a breath. Let what you just heard settle for a moment. Something in you recognized itself in those words. Maybe your whole body responded. Maybe it was quieter than that, just a small "oh" somewhere in your chest. A click. A feeling of finally having language for something you've been circling around for years. That feeling? That's your soul recognizing its own blueprint. That's you finally seeing what was painted in the portrait. Here's the third hidden truth, and this one might surprise you. You've been protecting yourself from finding this person too easily. Part of you knew that once you met someone who truly matched the portrait, there would be no going back. So you kept the room locked until you were ready for everything to change. And now, picture yourself walking up to that door, the one you've passed 1,000 times. You have the key now. Your hand is on the handle. You open it, and there, on the wall, is the portrait. And you realize with a rush that might bring tears to your eyes that this painting has been here your whole life. Your soul made this for you before you even existed. It knew what you would need. It knew who would make you whole. And it's been waiting, patiently, faithfully waiting, for you to be ready to see it. Every heartbreak led you here, every almost right relationship, every late night wondering if something was wrong with you. Nothing was wrong with you. You were just walking toward this room. You were getting closer and closer to the door. And now you're inside. Now you've seen the portrait. Now you know. This is why I said to watch this before you get married. Because when you stand at that altar, when you say those words that bind your life to another, you need to know if this person can reach your seventh house. You need to know if they speak the language your soul painted in that portrait. Not everyone can. And now you know exactly what language yours requires. I want you to hear something. Really hear it. You haven't been failing at love. You've been learning it. Every relationship that didn't work wasn't proof that you're broken. It was data your soul was collecting. It was your seventh house trying to teach you, through experience, what the portrait contains. Think about who you were in your first serious relationship. How young, how hopeful, how little you understood about yourself. And then think about every relationship since, every time you tried. Every time you opened your heart knowing it might get broken. Every time you chose to keep believing in love even when the evidence suggested you should stop. That's not naivety, that's courage. The specific, stubborn, beautiful courage of someone whose seventh house refused to let them give up. Some people settle early. They find something good enough and they build a life around compromise. There's nothing wrong with that path, but it wasn't available to you. Your soul wouldn't let you take it. And you've judged yourself for that. Wondered if you were too romantic, too idealistic, too unwilling to face reality. But here's what I need you to understand. You weren't running from reality. You were waiting for a reality your soul knew was possible. The one in the portrait. And that waiting, even though it was hard, even though it was lonely sometimes, was an act of faith. Faith in yourself, faith in love, faith in the design your soul created before you were born. Those people who weren't right for you, they were teachers. Not because they were bad people, but because they showed you through what was missing, what you actually need. That voice in you that kept saying, something's not right, that was wisdom. Deep, ancient, soul-level wisdom. Your conscious mind couldn't articulate it, but your seventh house knew. And it refused to let you settle. I know you've been hard on yourself. I know you've wondered if you're too much, if you're not enough, if you're somehow built wrong for partnership. But the truth is the opposite. You have a very specific design for love, a precise blueprint, and you've been honoring that blueprint even when you didn't know it existed by refusing to commit to people who couldn't meet it. That's not being picky, that's being faithful to your own soul. So here's what changes now. You have something you didn't have before. You know what you're looking for, not vaguely specifically. You know what sign your soul painted, what qualities it needs, what kind of love will actually reach you. And when you meet someone who speaks the language of your seventh house, you're going to feel it. Something in you is going to relax. Something in you is going to say, finally, this is what I've been waiting for. They won't be who you expected. They might not fit the picture you had in your conscious mind, but they'll fit the portrait, and that's what matters. Imagine entering your next relationship with this knowledge. Imagine understanding, on the first date, whether this person has access to what you need. Imagine not having to spend months or years wondering why something feels off. Imagine trusting yourself when that quiet voice says, yes or no. That's what becomes possible now. The locked room is open, and you never have to search in the dark again. Now, if you don't know your rising sign, I want you to find it. You need your birth time, even an approximate one can help, and any free birth chart calculator will show you. Look for the sign on your ascendant, your rising sign, and then remember your seventh house is the sign directly opposite. And once you know it, come back to this video. Listen to your placement again. Let it sink in deeper. Think about your past relationships through this lens. Can you see how they matched or didn't match what your seventh house needs? Can you see why some felt closer than others? Can you see what was missing? This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about understanding. It's about finally having a map for something that felt like wandering. And if you're in a relationship right now, ask yourself, does this person speak the language of my seventh house? Can they reach the part of me that's been waiting? If the answer is yes, beautiful. You've found what your soul was looking for. If the answer is uncertain, that's information too. Not a verdict, just information. A place to start a conversation, a place to grow. Thank you for being here, for trusting me with something as sacred as your heart's questions, for staying through to the end. You came to this video because the title said something was hiding, and it was. A portrait your soul painted before you were born. A blueprint for the love you've been searching for without knowing how to name it. But it's not hiding anymore. You've seen it now. You know what you're looking for. So when the time comes, when you stand before someone and consider saying yes to forever, you'll know, not because the relationship is perfect, but because your seventh house finally found what it was painted to find. That's the gift this video was meant to give you. Before you get married, now you know what you need. Whatever your seventh house holds, know this. You are worthy of the partnership your soul designed you for. It exists, and now that you've seen the portrait, I believe you're going to find it. Take care of that beautiful heart of yours. It's been doing its job perfectly this whole time.